How's it going, everyone? This is International Master Daniel Rensch. This is Chess.com's YouTube channel. Today we got another live sessions coming at you live, hence the name, right? I promise no horrible references to Christopher Walken stand-up comedy, which, by the way, in and of itself is a bit ironic. And I will play directly into a Najdorf Sicilian here against another fellow titled player on Chess.com's live server. One of our most active members, actually. And here we have a variation of the Najdorf that I enjoy playing, and it's a sharp and tricky variation that really involves a lot of theory when we have the chance to back up and review the game, as we always do here on these live sessions. I will tell you exactly what is going on here. Taking f6 was not the right decision for White. White has to play f takes g5 in order to maintain an advantage, mainly because despite the awkwardness of Black's pieces, he has the bishop pair, okay, that's two bishops, and a potentially very great center. And so sometimes you can, especially inexperienced, I don't want to say amateur players, but inexperienced players in terms of playing open Sicilians at the very least, have trouble evaluating these positions because it looks as though Black is neglecting very serious, usually very important basic principles to follow, which is things like not completing his development, leaving the king in the center. But when you have a bigger picture eye on a situation, you can actually break some basic principles knowing that there's the potential to achieve something in the now, and you can actually deal with those things later. But potentially against a well-prepared opponent, it's still a very risky proposition because I am going to have to play with my king in the center for the rest of the game here, despite the fact that we like Black's position here. It's actually a good one for Black, a good version of this line for me. I have to be very careful. Now there's this potential threat of f5 coming at any moment, and though normally it's not something I look to try to do in this line, I think I can get away with castling, and so I'm going to do it, get the king out of the center, potentially put my king off the g-file, maybe even bring the rook back to g8, and if he plays f5 now, I'm going to respond with e5, keeping his rook on f1, away from my queen on f6. I'd like to play rook takes b2 and win this pawn over here, but I have to be very careful because he may have knight a4 attacking both my rook and my bishop. He decides to commit knight a4 immediately, and I'll go ahead and back the bishop up to this solid square on d6 because it looks really cute there, guarded by the pawns. Pretty much no other real chess reason behind that retreat. And now he plays this move, queen to e2. He's going to threaten queen to g4 check. Do we really care? I don't think so. Let's go ahead and bring this rook up into the game, attack the knight, and potentially even threaten to play rook takes f4. And I don't see any reason not to go ahead and grab that pawn. I am a greedy chess player, as many of you know, because I've learned that it's usually the right way to be. And in this setting, I am going to continue to take material. Not going to take that pawn, of course, because he will play rook to g1 and pin my queen to my king. But I don't need that final pawn. I can back the queen up here and be happy with the ones that I did manage to come away with. And potentially his king is actually much weaker than mine. Now, in this situation, he takes on a6, which is very, very risky proposition for him. I'm going to go ahead and take on g3, which not only threatens his rook on g1, but also threatens the move queen h4 check. And then if I can remove the queen from the second rank, which is what I'm about to do, then I may have the potential to develop a checkmating net. So let's see exactly how that'll work. Let's go ahead and take here. And after he moves his queen, maybe he takes on a6, I can check, and mate. Did I really actually just calculate that, or are you guys thinking this guy's full of it? Well, I think I did. I'll check on h2, and he resigns without even leaving me the option to play it out. If he had played the move king f1, then queen f2 would have been lights out. Potentially king f3. I guess I don't even need to prove that I calculated a forced mate when this rook is obviously just hanging. But I'm pretty sure I calculated queen f2, king up, f5 check. There may be other ways to get checkmate. In fact, it looks like this move h5 might even be more effective, leaving the f5 square open to the queen. If here, then mate. And if takes here, then check and mate. And if f5 check, which is just to be honest about what I had actually calculated, I had calculated that. Queen f3, whether he takes the pawn or not, I think that I'm going to be able to deliver mate. But actually, no, maybe the one, no, I was right. I can have this check, and however we get there, we're going to have something like check, check. If he goes here, then mate, and if he doesn't go there, actually, that's his only move. So I was accurate, actually, in my calculation. But that doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead and back up and talk a little bit about this line so that everyone here can learn something in today's YouTube video. And we can learn something about a really sharp and interesting variation of the Najdorf. Okay, so my opponent played e4, and we got the Najdorf Sicilian here. A lot of times in Blitz, I still play the Dragon. Pretty much the only time I still play it, unless there's something really wrong with me on a deep emotional and spiritual level, then I will venture into that abyss known as the Dragon Sicilian. But usually if I'm in a healthy state of mind, I will play the Najdorf instead. So this variation is really tricky, and white played the accurate line here, but in order to take advantage of black's pin, of the pin that he has here, he really has to try to open up the king side as much as possible. Again, the move that was played in the game allows black to slowly develop with a lot of other long-term features in his favor. As we talked about, the bishop pair, and the potentially really great center. Those things, having critical control over most of the important squares, is something you can use to compensate for what would otherwise be a broken principle, like not castling so quickly. Plus, the center isn't literally open; it's a sharp opening. It's not necessarily a recommendation for beginner players or for the faint of heart, but it's definitely an interesting one and a really dynamic one for black to play. And the way he played kind of showed exactly why black likes these lines. But the move f takes g5 is best. And black will play this move knight d5, taking advantage of the pin. White can't do anything with this pawn. Taking here, and after I take back, is one way for white to play, but the main line is to capture here. And after the move d takes e5 is played, white plays the move bishop to d3. Or sorry, no, it's not d takes e5, it's actually the move queen to b6, threatening moves like check. White plays bishop d3, and then black takes on g5, and after bishop g3, bishop f2, or bishop takes g5, we have a lot of complicated chess, but this is the way white needs to play. So the trump card that black has after the move white played, again, as I highlighted, is that at first it looks like a broken structure, a weakened king side, and a king being neglected, but actually control over the center and the bishop pair, as the position is going to become open, is really going to be the critical factor here. As you saw in the game, my dark square bishop was like an unchallenged beast, right? An untamable beast. And at first I brought him to the c5 diagonal because I was doing it with check, right? Always check, it might be mate, that's what I say. But maybe it was even better just to come to d6 immediately. I'm not sure. He goes for a tempo. I think probably that's ill-advised. He should try to do something on the king side. Not exactly sure how that looks, but definitely makes more sense. In this case, I was actually happy to relocate my bishop to d6 and immediately saw this threat that he did not, and that quickly led to the opening of his king side and actually a mating net that was unstoppable, even though he didn't let me play it out to mate necessarily. So without going too deep into all the Najdorf theory there, because it's difficult to do so, I can say that it's a really sharp line, and if you're interested in another way to tackle the main lines of the Najdorf, which is the bishop g5 variation itself and f4, there's the poison pawn, there's bishop e7 and queen c7, both played by Garry Kasparov, knight bd7, and even b5. There's a lot of ways for black to play here. It's some of the most complex theory and positions in chess, I think, in any opening. But knight c6 is another one, and it's not the most well-known one, and so you get people not to know what they're doing sometimes, and that can lead to some quick wins, like the one you just saw there, even though he is actually a candidate master and a regular strong player here on Chess.com server. So hope you enjoy it, and we will see you around on Chess.com.